Good morning. This is prep day for me, so I thought I'd share with you a little bit of what I'm doing to get ready for my week 1 on VShred. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Elizabeth, and I have been documenting a 160-pound weight loss and now maintenance of that weight loss. And let me tell you, losing 160 pounds is a whole lot easier than keeping 160 pounds off. Even changing eating habits and not going back to the way I was eating before, it is really difficult. And so, as I said in last week's video, I am trying a program called VShred, and that they are providing me with meal plans and workout plans and coaching, one-on-one coaching, and lots of great extra features. I'm going to give you a link in the description box if you're interested in checking it out, or you want to Google it yourself. That's fine. I don't get anything from you clicking on the link. It's just a link to the program, but I would encourage you to listen to some of the videos, listen all the way through. It really is, it's not a multi-level marketing company like some other companies are. It is just a program. It's not free. But it is, I hope, well worth the money that I'm putting into it. So what I'm going to do right now, it's really early on Sunday morning at 6 o'clock, 6:20. I'm headed to the grocery store just to pick up the things that I don't already have in my house based off of the menu plans that were done for me. And then I do plan on doing a little bit of meal prep today after church. So I will be sharing some of that with you and just kind of talking a little bit about the program and what they have for me. These are individualized programs, so me sharing my menu plan, first of all, I paid for it, so I'm not going to share it. So if you want a menu plan, you're going to have to pay for it, and it will be customized to you and your needs. And I'll talk a little bit about the workout plan and that kind of program. But I'm going to head to the grocery store. I may or may not videotape in there. I'm not really good about vlogging in the store, but it's Sunday morning. It's quiet. Maybe I will. Also, before I go any further, please give this video a thumbs up. I am getting back to posting more regularly, and I really would love to get my subscribers up. I am up to almost 6,000, so it's not a huge amount, but it's pretty cool. And all of my Optavia information is still there. All of my videos, that is not going away. I am still 100% in support of people who are on that program, and I am not discouraging that at all. So please understand that. I went through the weight loss program. I was steadfast on that. I did it. I believe it works. But as far as maintenance, it was not working for me. So I had to find what is going to work, and this is something that I'm going to try. But give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and please leave me comments in the comments box below. What have you done? I'm not looking for recommendations to try something different, but I'd love to hear your journey, your story, things that have worked for you or that haven't worked for you. So it was surprisingly busy at the grocery store today. As I've said, I'm really bad at vlogging in public. I just haven't built a thick enough skin yet to not care what people think. So I didn't vlog in the grocery store, but I spent about $80, and that doesn't account for what I already had in my freezer and my pantry. Most of the proteins I already had. I did pick up a few things. I picked up chicken today only because I do have chicken breasts in my freezer, but I want to pre-cook some things today, and I didn't want to have to wait for it to thaw. So I just went ahead and bought some. But I did buy frozen shrimp, and that is already in my freezer. That is something that I typically buy at Costco, but I'm not going to Costco today. I may go on Wednesday in preparation for next week, because what I get is, there's 20 pages in this. This is for my first month, and I will eat the same thing every week for the first month. Now, there is what they call a swap Bible, so I can switch things out. I can do different fruits or different vegetables. I can kind of play around with some things. And I'm also a recipe creator, so I know that I can, if I need to swap something around, I can without, I'm not going to stress about that. But what this comes with is the first thing they give you is the daily plans. So breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a snack for 7 days. And so that's the first part of my plan. And then there's a great grocery list. So what I did, I printed an extra copy of this, so I have a clean copy to put into some sheet protectors. What I did was I went through the list and I marked off on my list, my original list, everything that I already have in my refrigerator, my pantry, my freezer, so that I don't have to buy extras. And then what I love about this is that it tells you exactly how much of every ingredient you're gonna need. So I know if I only need 2 tablespoons of lemons or lemon juice, I don't need to buy a whole bag of lemons. I just need 1 lemon. I actually bought 2 because I like to put lemon in water. For the most part, I stuck to exactly what it said on here with a little bit extra because my husband does also eat, so it's nice for him to have a little bit of extra things around. Plus, if I'm gonna make the recipe one time, like I'm gonna make 1 recipe, I'm gonna double it because he needs to eat dinner too. So the $80 covers all of my breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, plus what I already have in my pantry, and then dinners for my husband. That's part of, I figured that in when I figure out my grocery list. And then the last part is all of the recipes. This is available, like I have this electronically, so I can actually pull up the recipes on my phone and I don't need it printed. But you know me, I like to have my notebook and I like to have everything. And since that's for a whole month, I'm gonna be going back to it and I'm gonna take the grocery list and put it in page protectors, and I can mark on the page protector what I have and then wipe it off, and that will just help me so I don't have to print out multiple copies many times. So let me show you what I got at the store that I'm gonna need for this week. The dairy, most of the dairy is cottage cheese, which I already have, whole milk, and non-fat Greek yogurt. So my milk is already in my outside fridge. This is gonna go in my inside fridge. It's just plain Greek yogurt. Proteins, I said about the shrimp. I already have the beef and the steak in my freezer because we have a quarter of a cow in the freezer. And chicken breasts, which again, I have some chicken breasts in my freezer, but I just went ahead and bought some. So that's as far as the protein kind of stuff. Canned, there is a recipe that uses artichoke heart, so I just went ahead and bought 2. That's typically the way I roll. If I'm gonna buy 1 can of something, I'm gonna go ahead and buy 2 just to keep my pantry stocked. So next week when I go, I won't have to put this on my list because I will already have it. Those are the 2 artichoke hearts. And then garbanzo beans or chickpeas, same thing. Again, I need 1 can, I bought 2. I also, one of the snacks includes hummus, and instead of buying hummus, I'm just gonna grind up some chickpeas and throw some lemon juice and garlic and a little bit of olive oil in there and call it good. I don't have tahini, but that's all right. It'll taste just fine without it. Canned salmon, I do have a piece of salmon cooked in my refrigerator that I'm gonna use for the recipe, but canned salmon, just to have it on hand, it honestly is less expensive. I'm pretty sure it's less expensive to actually buy salmon and cook it yourself and then portion it out than it is to buy it in a can. But again, sometimes it's good to have something on hand just in case, because I can typically buy an Alaskan salmon, like a big fillet of Alaskan salmon for $7.99 a pound. And this is $2.14 for a 4-ounce can. So that would be a little over it's almost $8.50 to a pound basically for it already cooked. So it's a little cheaper for me to buy it. Plus I know what's in it and it doesn't have anything extra. And this has salmon, water, and salt. So, I mean, it's not bad, but you know me, I just prefer to do things myself than to go with something that somebody else has done for me. A couple of the meals and snacks call for walnuts. So I have a bag of walnuts and some almonds. They probably wanted like the whole unsalted almonds, but these are blanched and slivered and they're not salted, it's just almonds. So I just went ahead and did this because I would prefer to eat the smaller pieces and make it feel like I'm lasting longer than a whole almond. The recipes also call for ginger, so I bought a tube of ginger instead of having to grate fresh ginger, and this keeps for quite a while. I don't know what the expiration date on this is. October of 2024, I'll go through it by then. The recipe also, one of the recipes also calls for stir fry sauce, and I did not buy stir fry sauce. I have soy sauce. I have pretty much all of the ingredients, garlic and ginger and other seasonings to make my own stir fry sauce. So I would prefer to do that rather than to have something that's got like guar gum and weird stuff in it and who knows what as sweeteners. I try to avoid sweeteners as much as I can. So now all we have left here is produce, lots of produce, blueberries. The thing calls for raspberries, but there were no raspberries in the store. So I got blackberries, very similar on the glycemic index. So, and again, I'm sure I can swap those out without any trouble. Mushrooms, I got them pre-sliced. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, but it just saves me a little bit of time. Some green onions, some bananas. A few of these are gonna go in the freezer when I do meal prep, which I will show you in a little bit. And I'll do that after I go to church. Oranges, I only need 2, but I got 3. Some baby spinach, some flat leaf parsley, some fresh kale. Probably got more than I need, but again, kale and spinach, you can actually take it as it is and throw it in the freezer. So whatever I don't need for the week, I will throw in a Ziploc bag and throw it in the freezer, and then I can use it in soups and things later, especially this fall and winter. Because I will probably only be on this program for 3, maybe 6 months. So it may take me through the end of the year, the very first part of January, but I'm going to assume that they will get used in recipes. And so it's a great way. So don't feel like if you've got to buy a bag of spinach at the store and you think, oh, I'm just not going to use that whole bag, stick it in a Ziploc bag, suck out all the air, throw it in the freezer, and then you can use it in smoothies, you can use it in soups, you can use it in anything that you're gonna cook, stir fries, just dump it in there, perfect. It does not have to be, you don't have to do anything to it. A couple of avocados, I only need 1, but I bought 2. And a little tip with avocados is I leave them on the counter until they're just ripe, and then I throw them in the fridge, and they'll last for another week in the refrigerator. If I leave them on the counter, they're gonna go bad really quickly. So also try not to store your fruits and vegetables in the plastic because that does not allow the gases to escape, and it doesn't allow them to breathe. They're living things. They need air, and if you leave them in the bag, then they will suffocate and they will rot faster. So try to store your fruits and vegetables outside of the plastic bag. These are some beautiful tomatoes from my garden, and look at this. This is my favorite tomato, and I can't wait to eat. I'm gonna eat it today. It is a Dr. Witchy's, and I will eat this entire tomato. It is the most amazing tomato, and I grew it in my garden. I've got a bunch more up there. These are paste tomatoes, the Amish paste tomatoes, and I am gonna be making tomato sauce this fall, and so I'm throwing those in the freezer as well, and then I will cook those down, and I plan on doing some food preservation videos and showing you how to make tomato sauce, like a homemade spaghetti sauce, and can those kinds of things. So I'm looking forward to doing that with you later this year. I will be back. For me, it's going to be a few hours. For you, it's going to be just a few seconds, and I'm going to show you some of my meal prep for this week. Back at it, and I'm going to do some food prep. So what I did was I went through all of the recipes for the whole week, and I looked to see what are some things that I can prepare today ahead of time to lighten my load for the rest of the week. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to cook off this package of bacon. You can find no sugar bacon, uncured bacon. You can probably, I mean, it does not specify in my menu plans to use this kind of bacon, but I prefer to use uncured bacon because it doesn't have the nitrates in it it's just a little bit better for you, in my opinion. Not a nutritionist again. I said this before and I will continue to say it. This is my journey. This is what I'm choosing, what works for me. And by no means am I saying that this should be something that everybody should do, or this is the way everybody should do it, or the way everybody else is doing it is wrong. Certainly not saying that at all. This is simply what I am doing and what works for me. So I preheated my oven, or I am preheating my oven to 425. I'm going to cook a couple of things. I'm going to cook some bacon, and I'm also going to cook some chicken breast and get those done as well. So the easiest way for me to cook bacon is take the thawed bacon, separate all the pieces, lay it out on a cookie sheet, and throw it in the oven. It just makes things move a whole lot faster. And I'm gonna smush them up together, really closely together, because that's how I can fit them all in a pan. And this is a 12-ounce package, so it's not quite 1 pound. I actually, for the week, I only need 6 pieces of bacon, so my husband will probably eat the ones that I don't eat. But this way I have everything done as far as what I need for breakfasts already. Little hack that I do, it's not really a hack, but when I lay the bacon, I alternate top to tail, just so that I've got, especially if you've got bacon where there's a thick end and a thin end, and this just helps you to fit more on the pan. I think it always works for me to get an extra piece if I can alternate the fat end and the short end. And then I've got space to put 1 piece across the bottom, so I've got this ready to go in the oven as soon as it preheats. And then, let me wash my hands. All right, and then the next thing is I need to cook some chicken breast. And so I just bought some thin sliced chicken breast, and this is almost 2 pounds. It's 1 3/4 pound of chicken breast, and this is going to be probably more than I need for the lunches. I'm going to cook it, and then I'm going to weigh it out after it's cooked. And pull off some of these pieces of fat that I don't need. One more piece here. Wash my hands again. And I think I'm just gonna sprinkle a little salt and pepper on here. Got some kosher salt. And I'm gonna set this aside until my oven is preheated. It's at 245 right now, so it's got a little bit more to go, and I'm gonna clean up and wipe my counter from this raw meat, and I will be right back. One thing that I'm going to need to do when I do my smoothie snacks is I'm going to need frozen bananas. So I'm going to take 2 bananas, and I'm just going to pop them in the freezer exactly like this. I will be able to start to peel them slightly. Actually, I think I'm gonna peel them and throw them in a Ziploc bag frozen. So if I peel them and I freeze them peeled, then I can just grab out 1 banana frozen when I go to make my smoothie. Now, the recipe calls for a half of a medium banana. These are really small bananas, so I'm just gonna end up using 1 small banana instead of half of a medium banana. May not be exactly right, but girl, this is me. I'm just gonna figure this out and do the best I can. I'm gonna freeze them so that they're not touching each other, and that way when I go to pull one out, it will be frozen all the way. And while I take this out to my outside freezer, I'm going to grab some peppers because I'm going to need that for another dish that I am going to do in the oven in just a minute. I have talked about this before, so I'm not going to say a lot about it, but one thing great about mushrooms is you don't need any fat, nothing. Just take the mushrooms, throw them in the pan. I've been down here so you can see me. You throw them in the pan, and as they heat, they will release their liquid, and you start to saute them. And when all of the liquid is gone, the mushrooms are cooked, and you never had to add any fat. Don't add salt, don't add anything to it. We're just gonna cook down these mushrooms. So as you can hear it sizzling. I don't have any oil, or you can see how dry this pan is. But you can see, if you look at some of these mushroom pieces, they're starting to get a little wet. And that's because as they're heating, they're releasing their liquid. And that's exactly what I want to happen. So I'm gonna kind of move them around a little bit and then let them sit for a minute, and then move them around again and let them sit for another minute or so. And I'm just gonna keep doing this until they are cooked all the way. So my oven is preheated. I'm going to throw my chicken and my bacon in, and it's going to cook for about 20-ish minutes in the oven. You can see how moist they are right now. They're very wet. Lots of liquid in there. It's sizzling in the bottom of the pan. That's great. They're still releasing liquid, so I'm just going to continue to saute them in the pan. So as soon as I see that they're starting to stick a little bit at the bottom of the pan, that means that most of the moisture has been released, and these are done. So I'm going to turn off the heat, and I am going to remove these from the pan because I need to cook some ground beef. And I'm going to turn my stove back on. I did my ground beef, I did my mushrooms first so that I didn't have the ground beef fat in the pan. So this is a pound of locally grown, grass-fed, grain-finished beef that we bought. Actually, the cow grew up just down the street from me here. And so I'm going to put this in, and I'm going to cook this until it is no longer pink. I do think it's really important to season meat when you're cooking it. So I'm just going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. And I'm not going to worry about there being too much caramelization on this meat, although there will be some, because I will reheat this again, so it is going to get heated again when I go to eat my breakfast. This is going to get used in a breakfast bowl. Keep in mind, however, that even though I am going to reheat this, I do want to make sure that it is cooked all the way now, because if I don't cook it all the way through now, then I run the risk of bacteria growing. So once the cooking process starts, don't partially, there are some things we can par cook and finish later, like vegetables, but meat is not one of those things that you can partially cook and then come back to it. You want to cook it all the way, because as soon as you add heat to it, bacteria can start growing, and you want to make sure you cook it to temperature, which will kill all of the bacteria. And I will drain all the fat off of this, but it is all cooked, and I'll come back and drain it off in just a minute. So I'm just going to turn the heat off, and we're going to move to something else. Okay, I need 74 grams of bell pepper. It's just sliced. And so I'm gonna run my knife through this and slice this bell pepper up just into thin slices. And I have my bowl on my scale, and I have it set to grams. And so I'm just gonna add this bell pepper, and it's going to be about a half of a bell pepper, so the rest of that I probably am not going to need. Let me see where I get with this. 79 grams, we're gonna call that good. I'll pop this in the fridge. I might use that for dinner tonight. And I need onion, sliced onion, and I only need 18 grams of sliced onion. So I'm gonna cut it in half. And peel it. And this is for a lunch recipe that is a Moroccan wrap, and it's a vegetarian, it's got chickpeas in it. Let me zero out my scale. And as I said, I just need 18 grams of sliced onion. So I'm gonna slice this up and see how long it takes me to get to 18 grams. That's it right there, that's 20 grams. So we're gonna call that good. It's not very much, it's a small amount. I'm gonna throw those two little pieces in there and save that onion for something else. And I'm gonna set this aside because the first thing that I have to do is roast my chickpeas. The last thing that I need to prep is the rest of my Moroccan chickpeas. This is 1 can of garbanzo beans, chickpeas, same thing, drained, rinsed, threw them in a bowl. I'm going to add in 2 teaspoons of avocado oil, and my preference when I'm going to heat something is to use avocado oil. It's better than olive oil at high temperatures. So do some research, see if you can disprove me. I'm gonna throw these on a parchment lined baking sheet, and I'm going to throw these in a 350-degree oven for 15 minutes, and then I'll show you the next step. The next thing that I'm gonna do, I've already thrown the peppers and onions on there. I cooked those. I'm gonna put on here just a sprinkling of ginger. This is according to the recipe. A little bit of cinnamon, which sounds really interesting. And some cumin, which I know is going to be delicious. This one needs a little bit more cumin. And as soon as this cools down, then I will put this into a container. I have containers already for my mushrooms are in a container, my beef, my chicken is all cooked. This is gonna go into a Ziploc bag. My bacon is cooked, that's gonna go into a Ziploc bag. And as soon as this cools down, I'll pop this into a container. And then the only other thing that I'm going to do is I'm gonna make some hummus. And like I said, I'm just gonna take my food processor, I'm gonna throw in a can of chickpeas, I'm gonna throw in some lemon juice, some salt, pepper, some garlic, just a drizzle of olive oil, and that's gonna be my hummus that I'm gonna use twice this week for snacks. My husband also loves hummus, so he'll have some of that as well. So that is my food prep for this week. Stay tuned because this week I will be posting some what I eat in a day kind of things, and I'm not sure how much of my exercises I will show off because I'm not much of an exerciser and that will be a little embarrassing right now. But maybe when things get a little bit better, maybe I'll talk about it. But I will be sharing some reality checks and letting you know how things are going as I go through this new process of trying to get my metabolism working right so that I can drop the 10 pounds that I've put on. Even eating 1,200 calories, don't ask me how I do it, but you know, that's just not a way to live, only eating 1,200 calories. So I have to find a way to get my body to burn more calories so that I can eat more calories, and that's what I am working on. So that's what I have to share as far as my meal prep goes for this week. So ask me questions in the comments box down below, and until I see you next time, please live in the light.